Let's continue gardening and let's add a 2 high block crop to Minecraft. New topics added to the Forge and Fabric courses, such as tameable and rideable entities, projectiles, throwable projectiles, and boats, as well as first steps to biomes and dimensions. Courses linked in the description below. Alright, friends, let's back into a little more, and in this tutorial, we're going to be adding a 2 high block crop to Minecraft, a highly anticipated topic over here that we will go through. Now, first and foremost, this might not be the perfect way to add it, but it is a way that I've found it to work. There seem to be no bugs and everything seems to be totally fine. So do keep that in mind. There are probably about 1,000 ways to add this. The way that I'm going to show is the way that I found this to work pretty straightforwardly. So let's start. Of course, in the custom package, in the block, we will need a custom block class. This is going to be the corn crop block over here. There you go. And this will once again extend the crop block class. And we will hover over this create constructor matching super. And now we will start with some pretty crazy things. What I will do is I will roughly copy over method by method-ish. Some methods I'm going to write out. Some of them I'm going to copy over. First thing we will need is 2 integers. And those are going to be the first stage max age and then the second stage max age. What does that mean? Well, the idea is that this particular block can have 2 different forms, so to speak, right? It's going to be the bottom one where it's going to grow, and then it will also have the top one, like the corn that's actually grown as the second block. And it's determined by the age which is going to be shown. This is basically the same idea, like literally the exact same idea with the strawberry crop that we've seen last, right? Where a different texture is being displayed depending on the integer property. And in this case, we're doing the exact same thing, just that one of the blocks is going to look completely different. Let me actually copy over the textures immediately, just so that you sort of understand what I'm talking about. So these are the growing corn stalks, right? So this is going to be the bottom one, and then this is going to be the last stage of the bottom block. And the bottom block will never reach stage 8. That's how we're going to program this. And only the block above it is going to reach this stage where the actual corn is going to grow. Now listen, you can criticize me for the texture. I did that myself. This is why you usually have a texture. Let's disregard the horribleness of the texture. Just keep in mind that the idea is that the bottom block is maximally going to have age 7, while the top block is always going to have age of 8. And you could, of course, also expand this. This is pretty much very basic Java. Once I show you the different steps that are there and you understand how they work, the rest is really just some addition. So the next thing that we're going to need is, of course, the age property. So we're going to get this. This is the public static final integer property right here. We're going to call this the age, and this is going to be equal to integer property.create. As you can see, we're going to call this the age, and this goes from 0 to 8. And now this is quite important because in the crop block, if you middle mouse one click, the max age over here is 7, right? The voxel shape, this is actually something I did mention last time, actually only goes from 0 to 7. And we need to change this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy over the voxel shape over here from the crop block class. And I'm going to just make this, that we can read this a little bit nicer. Otherwise, it's all in one line, and I personally do not like that. And if I now take a look over here, right, if I take a look at each of the blocks over here, right, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now the issue is that if we were to pass in an 8 over here, which is the max age, all of a sudden, we would get an error because, of course, this doesn't go as far. So what we want to do is we want to just add another block over here for the voxel shape. This is the outline of the block, and it, of course, changes, right, as you can see, the Y level here changes as the crop block grows, and we're just basically adding a full block on top for the last age as well. Nothing too crazy. To immediately deal with the shape over here, we're going to overwrite the getShape method, and this is going to just simply going to return shape by age, passing in this .getAge, and then passing in the state passed in here as a parameter. Then we want to overwrite, of course, the createBlockStateDefinition method over here. This is extremely important. pbuilder.add, passing in the age property. We want to overwrite the same methods that we've overridden last time. So this is going to be the max age, the getBaseSeed.id, as well as the getAge property method. There you go. Here we're going to return age. In the base seed, we're going to make a deliberate error. And in the max age, we're going to return first stage max age plus second stage max age. Very important. And now we get to some of the interesting methods that are specific for the 2 block high crop. The first one is the grow crops method over here. If you middle mouse click on the super, you can see this is how it usually works. Basically, it's not that crazy. The idea is just that we're getting a new age. If this is higher than the max age, then we're just capping it, so to speak, and then we're setting the block at this particular position to the new age. That's pretty much all we're doing here. The I and J are a little bit of a bummer. That's why I'm going to reformulate this a little bit. So we're going to have an integer called next age. So this is the new age. We're going to get the current age, right? So this dot get age, passing in the state over here, plus this dot get bone meal increase for the particular level over here. Then we will get the max age. This is going to be this dot get max age, easily enough. And if the next age, right? So if the age that we're trying to set this is above the max age, we're just going to say next age is equal to max age. So we're basically capping it at the max age, just so that we not inadvertently set this crop to a higher age than it actually can be. And now here comes the difference. If we were to once again look at the grow crops over here, you can see we're just setting the block over here. In this case, this is not actually what we want to do, because we need to check, okay, wait a second. Are we on the block at the bottom, or are we on the block at the top? And also, what is the current actual age? Because if our block is at age 7 and we right click it with a bone meal, for example, what we would want to do is want to spawn a new block on top of it that looks like this, right? Because of course, this particular block is done growing, and then the second stage or the second block is going to grow above it. So we're going to ask this dot get age p state if this is equal to the first stage max age, and p level dot get block state with the position of this particular one with above of 1. If that is blocks.air, then we're good to go. What does that mean? Well, it basically means that we are now looking at a block, or we've just right-clicked a block that is in this stage, right? So in stage 7, and the block above it is air. So we're good to go to spawn this block on top. That's all we're doing. So we're saying p-level.setBlock at this position above 1, once again. And the state that we're setting is get state for age. This is going to be the next age. This is always going to be max age over here as well. And then here we want to pass in a 2 for the set block method. And we also want an else statement, and that is going to be, p-level.setBlock, p-pause, this dot get state for age, next age -1, comma 2. Now the question is, why does this -1 appear here? The reason is because if the max age is always the first stage plus the second stage, and this is 1, you have to subtract that. So in theory, you can even do it properly like this. You want to subtract the max age over here so that we don't set the bottom block to this. Because number 1, that would look very stupid and weird. And number 2, that's not what we want. The logic here is very, very simple. I highly suggest you go through the code. It's of course always available to you in the description below, and try to understand it. Especially if you want different max ages, for example. Highly recommended to step through this. It really isn't that difficult. You just have to get it once, and then it's going to be very, very clear. We need to override 3 more methods. 2 of them are quite easy. So that's the can survive method over here. That is going to be calling the super, or p-level.getBlockState, p-pass.below with a distance of 1, is, and then just passing in this. And this is quite important. We're gonna add parentheses in just a moment. p-level.getBlockState, p-pause.below, once again, 1. Get value of age is equal to 7. And we'll round this up with parentheses over here. The idea being that you can, of course, plant this right in the can survive method. This can survive in normal farmland, of course. But in theory, this particular block can also survive if the block below it is this particular block. That's very important, and this is why we need this. And another thing we need is we need to override the can sustain plant method, which is going to not call the super of itself, but it's going to call the super of .may place on, passing in the state, the world, and the position. Why do we do this? Well, usually the can sustain plant method does this weird stuff from Forge that looks basically at the plant type, quote unquote, of a block, and then just says, oh, we're now allowed to add this to put this on these specific blocks, and it's kind of weird. I don't know. It's probably quite an old system. And the may place on method pretty much just says, hey, I can only place this on farmland. And that's exactly what I want to do. And then the last method to override is the random tick method. That's the one I'm going to actually copy over because it's a little bit longer. And don't worry, if this is like craziness to you, let's step through. First of all, of course, is the area loaded? If it's not, we don't even do anything. Then we get the brightness. If the brightness is high enough, so in this case, if it's equal or above 9, we're getting the current age, and we're saying, okay, is the current age or lower than the max age? If it is, then we can grow this crop In this case, we get a growth speed over here, and then we have this forge hooks over here. This is just sort of the random moment if this is going to grow. So if this is true, if we're inside of this if statement, then we're growing. And this is all of the custom stuff. So the custom stuff, we're basically saying, hey, if the current age is equal to first stage max age, meaning our block looks like this, then I once again want to make sure that the block above it is air. And if it is, then we're just setting that particular block to this. That's all we're doing, and that's literally what this does. And if it is not, then we're increasing this block's age. As you can see, the block at this position instead of above 1, we're setting this block to 1 higher in age. That's all we're doing. And then this is just the normal forge stuff that needs to happen. Once again, there's probably a million different ways, maybe even easier ways that you can do this. I found this to be quite intuitive, all things considered. I sort of understand what this is. And in theory, you can also change the ages over here. The important thing is, of course, that the voxel shape changes, right? So if you were to increase this to 5, for example, you would also need to add a little bit more logic in both the random tick method as well as the grow crops method, as right now it will only deal with, well, basically any number right here and a 1 right here, but you could change it as well. Right, and now that we have this, we can go to the normal stuff like adding the blocks and all of that craziness. So what we can basically just do is duplicate the strawberry crop. This is going to be the corn underscore crop over here. There you go. And this is going to be the corn underscore crop as well. Once again, with blocks.register and not the register block method, this is going to be a corn crop block. Let's go. And the rest here is going to be fine. Awesome. Then in the items, we of course need the seeds as well as the corn. So let's get the seeds first. This is going to be the corn underscore seeds. And of course, corn underscore seeds. There you go. This is going to be the corn crop that it takes as the block over here in the block item. And then we also want corn itself. So this is going to be corn and this is going to be corn. There's just going to be a normal item here in this case with, let's say, no item properties. Of course, you can also add some food to it, but right now, just having the corn drop is probably going to be enough. Let's immediately add this to the creative mode tab. So this is going to be the corn as well as the corn underscore seeds. There you go. Then let's go to the assets over here, the translation, corn and corn seeds, and the rest of the textures. With that, I mean both the corn as well as the seeds here for the item, quite important, otherwise those won't have textures. That would not be good. There you go. So that should be pretty much everything we need here. And let's fix this error over here. That's going to be the seeds. So this is going to be mod items dot corn seeds dot get. There we go. And then just data gen is left. And in data gen, something quite important and interesting over here. So I have sort of 2 ways that you can do this. I'm going to once again copy over the loot condition over here. I'm going to explain. This is of course the corn crop block age right here. And you can see that it would drop the corn when it has the age 7 and the age 8, because I wanted to show you how that you could do both of them, right, with this OR over here, but you don't have to. You can also get rid of the OR, so you can just see where we're at. This OR over here, bam, change this to an 8, and that also works. I'm probably just going to leave both of them. So let me just get you this, and then we're just going to add this and comment this out, just so that you have both of them basically. So it could be that I actually want corn to drop over here as well. I can understand that in this instance, it doesn't make a lot of sense because there's no corn on here. So it's only going to drop from the top block, but maybe you do want something else to drop from the bottom block, and you can basically do that with that as well. When it comes to the block states, usually it would be awesome if we could just reuse this, but we sadly can't quite reuse this unless we would make a custom crop block that basically opens up the get age property, because once again, normally the get age property over here is protected and it needs to be public. Quite annoying over here in this case. That is why we are going to need to copy over 2 new methods again. There's going to be the make corn, and this is going to be the corn crop block again. There you go. And then this is going to be the make corn crop block mod blocks dot corn crop dot get, and then casting this to a crop block. There you go. After the second closing parenthesis, this is going to be the corn underscore stage underscore nothing, and then the other one is the corn underscore stage underscore nothing. There you go. Yep, that's going to be exactly right. And there we go. Last but not least, the item models. They're just simple item models, so nothing too crazy. And that should be everything we need. So let's run the data over here. Everything should be fine, and we're good to go for our 2 high block crops. Awesome. Alright, finds us back in Minecraft, and let's just set down some of the corn over here, and you can see it sets down perfectly. And if we were to grow some of it, you can see it's all growing normally until we reach the last stage, which should be this. Let's double check over here. This is going to be age 7, and if I right click again, bam, a new block over here is going to, well, basically spawn, and you can see this is now the same one. This is the corn crop H8. And there we freaking go. And we can do the same thing, right? There you go. And we can do this in here. And even on a block update, you can see that it basically doesn't destroy it because, well, it's all fine. It all works. But there we go. And if we were to destroy some of them, so let's see this one, as you can see, it drops corn as well as corn seeds. And this one will also drop corn. As I've said, this is the thing that I've done in the data gen. So you can, of course, change this with the other one to destroy the bottom one. You can see both of them are going to be destroyed. And there we freaking go. Custom 2 high block crops added to Minecraft. And that's already going to be it for this tutorial right here. Next time in this video, we'll continue with nature by adding custom flowers to Minecraft. Hope to see you there. So, yeah.